Welcome to the Bag Makers Society podcast, your ultimate destination for all things bag making. If you're passionate about crafting beautiful and functional bags, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, you're in the right place. My name is Deb and I'm thrilled that you're joining me on this creative journey. In each episode, we'll dive into the world of bag making, exploring a range of topics that will fuel your imagination and ignite your sewing prowess. From discussing the latest bag patterns that have the crafting community buzzing, to exploring various techniques that can add that perfect touch to your designs and everything in between. We will hopefully be joined by some incredible guests, bag makers, designers and small business owners who will share their experiences, insights and invaluable tips to help you level up your bag making game. So whether you're stitching up your first tote bag or perfecting your crossbody skills, this podcast is your source for inspiration, education and a good dose of bag making camaraderie. I can't wait to share this adventure with you, so make sure to subscribe to the podcast and tune in to upcoming episodes. So let's not delay any further and get started with this week's episode. Hi, welcome back to the Bag Makers Society podcast. Today I thought we'd delve into the world of fabric stashes. And if you like, also pattern stashing. If you're anything like me, you've probably got quite an extensive pattern stash as well as quite an extensive fabric stash. My fabric stash is quite excessive and probably needs to be culled a little bit. It is quite well organised. I think you're either in two camps with your fabric stashes. You're either somebody who organises your fabric stash really well, or somebody who just doesn't. And mine is quite organised. It is organised into type. I don't really go for into colours thereafter, but it is organised into type. So obviously I'm primarily a bag maker. I don't make clothes or do much else like types of sewing. So most of my fabrics are sort of bag making fabrics. So I have my fabrics organised into cottons, and then I have quite a collection of waterproof canvases because I do like them for linens, and then I have quite a collection of sort of upholstery, sort of canvasy type fabrics, and then I have quite a collection of vinyls and faux leathers, and then I have quite a collection of leathers as well. So they are all organised into sort of categories, and they are all stored fairly neatly most of the time. But yeah, they have grown quite considerably. And I don't know if anybody else is sort of like me, but I'll tend to see fabrics and I'll love them and I'll see them and I have to have them, and I don't always buy fabrics with a project in mind. Occasionally I do, but more often than not I'll buy a fabric just because I love it. I either love the pattern of it or I love the texture of it, or it might be that I really want to support the designer or the small business that is selling it, and that is the reason that I'll buy it. But yeah, there is always a reason or a meaning behind the fabrics that I buy. But I'm not really usually one of them people that have a specific project in mind. So I'll buy it and I'll love it, and I'll fawn over it, and I'll coo over it, and I'll go on about how pretty it is, and Andy will usually roll his eyes at me and go, okay Deb, whatever. And then it'll get put away, and it'll go into the stash, and then I'll have a think about what I want to make about it, and then I'll get a little bit of fear and think, oh, what if what I make it isn't as nice as what I think it's going to be in my head, and then I don't have that fabric anymore, and then I'll be sad. And yeah, so then I think about it some more, and it stays in the stash, and then in the meantime I've seen more fabric, and the whole cycle repeats and it just perpetuates. So I don't know if anybody else is like me like that, and that's how their fabric stash has kind of continue to grow and grow and grow. Mine is at the sort of stage now where, I mean, it's not ridiculous. I've certainly seen people who are way worse. I do love watching videos on YouTube of people's fabric stashes, because they usually make me feel a little bit better, because mine isn't as bad as some other people's, but it is a little bit ridiculous. I have way more fabric than what I need, and I probably do need to reduce it slightly. One of the things I have probably found is that since I started my bag making supply business, is that I actually don't sew as much as what I used to, because I just don't actually have as much time to sew as what I used to. So I'm probably buying fabric because I'm seeing fabrics that I love. I'm probably buying fabric quicker than what I'm sewing fabric, or sort of sewing what I used to as well. So I probably just need to maybe be a little bit more organised, so that I can actually get behind the sewing machine a bit more, which is something that I want to do. And I probably maybe need to put myself on a 1 in, 1 out system, until I kind of get my fabric down a little bit, or maybe it's a 2 out, 1 in system, so that I can get my fabric down a little bit, because I do need a little bit of space for other things in my sewing room. But anybody who follows me on social media or in the Facebook group or anything like that knows that I am a massive supporter and advocate of small businesses as well. So I won't ever sort of probably go on like a full-on fabric buying ban. That's probably just not in me, and probably not something that I would ever be able to sustain either. So I probably do need to maybe do a 2 out, 1 in system to get the fabric stash down a little bit. But I probably need to put something in place as well where I actually know what I have. I don't know if anybody else has done this, and there's probably going to be people nodding their heads as I'm saying this, but I have actually bought fabric because I've seen it, loved it, and thought, oh my god, that is beautiful, I have to have it. Got it home, gone to put it away, and I already have it, which does show that I know what I like, but it also shows that I don't know what I have. So I probably need to have some sort of system that so I can see what fabrics I have, because all of mine are away sort of in a cupboard with doors that close. So unless I actually go in, open the cupboards and look through, which I do obviously do quite often, and usually I'm like, oh, I forgot I had that. I do need to think about some sort of system to catalogue it all. I've heard people using Trello. So if anybody uses a system or has a system that they find really good, I'd love to hear about it. And I could probably really do with the same for my patterns. My pattern stash is ridiculous. I have so many patterns. I have patterns that I haven't even printed out. I have patterns that I probably haven't even opened. And again, I buy patterns because I really want to support the designers, and I'll buy them because I love them. I love the design of them. I love the style of them. But I also find I am one of them sewers that I tend to stick to the same designers because I know that I like their style. I know that I like how they write their patterns. And I probably should branch out a little bit more. And again, there's probably going to be people nodding their heads going, yeah, that's me too. But I have so many patterns, and I've probably got patterns I don't even realise I have. I've probably got patterns where I've bought them twice because I don't realise I have them. I've got patterns that I've bought that are very similar to other patterns that I already have, and I definitely know that I need to put something together to have all of my patterns so that I can see what I have, so that I can see whether I've either got any gaps in my pattern collection, so whether that maybe be backpacks or pouches, or I don't think it's pouches, I think I've got quite a few pouches, but I was thinking about maybe printing out the sort of, the first page of each pattern and just putting it in a file and having the file in my sewing room, so that when I'm looking for inspiration, or if I'm looking to do a tutorial or anything like that, I can look through the patterns that I have and pick one out. Or if, you know, I'm like I say, I'm struggling for inspiration, if I've lost my sojo a little bit, I mean, that's another podcast episode all on its own. But I just find looking through the computer not very inspiring. So I think maybe having those front pages printed out and having it in a folder that I can flick through and have a look would be something that would be quite beneficial for me. Maybe it's having them categorised so that they're in, you know, crossbodies, backpacks, pouches, shoulder bags, that sort of thing, would maybe be a good idea. But if anybody has any other systems that they use for their patterns, I'd love to hear it. I mean, obviously when I use a pattern and I've printed it out, I put it into like specific folders, but again, they go away in the cupboard, so they are out of the way. I don't actually like things being on show. I like things to be really tidy. Otherwise I find I can't work. I get really distracted. So, but then also everything being away and behind cupboard doors means that I forget what I have. So it's, yeah, I need to think about something so that I have the little bit of a best of both worlds. So if anybody has any systems that they have in place, I would love to hear about it. And I'd love to hear about people's fabric stashes, whether they are humongous stashes. I'd love to hear about if people have bought fabrics that they have already bought before. I'd love to hear about people's fabric stash stories. Like I say, when I got with Andy, he couldn't grasp that fabric collecting and sewing were two kind of different hobbies, and that they sometimes crossed over and that they sometimes didn't. And I mean, my fabric stash was nowhere near what it is now. But yeah, he kind of just didn't understand that I would buy fabrics and not necessarily know what I want to do with them, and I would just kind of put them away, and sometimes get them out and look at them and say, "Wasn't this so pretty?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, okay, Deb, that's lovely, okay," and shake his head. But he does kind of get me now, because I was away with a friend a few weeks ago, well, a couple of months ago now, and she lives down in like Leicester, and I live in the northeast of England, and every few months we'll meet up sort of somewhere round about halfway in between. And a few months ago we met up in Leeds, and it's just common practice that she gets dragged around fabric shops, if there happen to be fabric shops where we meet up. And I mean, we'll always go for a gin and tonic afterwards as well, so you know, she's happy. And we'd gone into B&M Fabrics in Leeds, which is a lovely fabric shop, and as we walked in the door, I just heard her say, "Oh my god, Deb, that fabric there is just so you." And I turned around and there was this big leafy green print fabric, which just, it couldn't have been any more me. Big monster Swiss cheese plant leaves on this fabric, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And there wasn't much left on the roll, and I stood for a little while, and she was like, "Are you going to get it?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "How much of it are you going to get?" And normally, as a bag maker, I would buy a metre of a fabric if I like it, because usually that is enough for a bag lining or an outer. So yeah, a metre is usually my go-to, but I had real FOMO with this fabric, thinking if I buy it and I make a couple of things and then I don't have any more of it left, I'm going to be really gutted. So I'm stood humming and hawing, and as I say, there was only a few metres left, and it wasn't massively expensive, and I thought, no, I'm just going to have it all. So anyway, I get home and I'm telling Andy about this fabric, and I said, "Oh, it's, you know, it was leafy print, it was green, which is my, you know, it's my favourite colour." And I said there wasn't very much left on the roll. And the minute I said that, I was like, there wasn't much left on the roll, he just looked at me and went, you bought all that was left, didn't you? I was like, yeah, I did. And I thought, yeah, this man gets me. So yeah, he might not understand the fabric stashing, but he does kind of get it. But and to be fair, the fabric collection doesn't impact on his life because it's kept away in a room that doesn't impact him. So he doesn't care. It's fine. But I'd love to hear other people's stories about their fabrics, and if you've got stories of fabrics that you've bought that really hold something special to you. If you've bought fabrics when you've been on holiday and they've got special memories, and you don't want to cut into them and make something from them because you're frightened of, like I say, not bringing it to the fruition that you want to bring it to, so it stays in your fabric collection, so to speak. And tell me about them. So whichever platform that you listen to this podcast on, feel free to share in the comments, or over on social media. I'm on Instagram at Deb_me_made_makes. You can find my Facebook page by just typing in Me Made Makes, and I will come up. And I obviously have the Facebook page, which is the UK Bag Makers Society. Or if you want to find me on my website and drop me an email, it is www.memadmakes.co.uk. And I'd love to hear about your fabric stashes, your pattern stashes, how you store them, how you create them, how you grow them, how you downsize them if you have done. As always, I love to hear from the community, and I would love to hear from you. So if you ever want to reach out, feel free. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of me waffling on at you again, and until next time, happy sewing, and may your bobbin always be full. Speak soon. Bye.